sudden silence. That was astonishing. You'd think I was going to say something really earth-shattering.
Teacher's voice.
My teacher's voice. I've forgotten what that sounds like. Well, I think tonight, with the emphasis on music, we can safely say we are fiddling while Rome burns. What else is there to do, right? This is our fourth Why There Are Words series here at Malvern Books. We do this quarterly here. In other cities, including Sausalito, LA, New York, Portland, and Pittsburgh. Did I leave any out? No. Some of them do it every month, and they're worn out, let me tell you. We're really fortunate tonight to have Peg Alford Purcell, who started all of this. We all went to We all went to Warren Wilson together. Warren Wilson is a low-res MFA program. I personally did not have a BA when I went there, and they let me in anyway. So in case you think it's some kind of highfalutin, MFA program, that's not it. But we had a little mini reunion. There's 7 of us here in Austin who went to that program over the years, so it was really fun to get together. This actually started in 2010, and in the San Francisco Bay Area, and it's kind of a national neighborhood of reading series. And Peg started it really with the idea in mind that it could be venues for her authors. She also started, as if she didn't have enough to do, she started a small press. And this past year they published 2 titles of fiction, so their authors had somewhere to go. And send them here. It's the idea that good work is timeless and needs to be heard regardless of marketing or commercial concerns. So I'm going to not start with Peg because I'm trying to mix up, we're kind of heavy on testosterone tonight and musical instruments. So I'm actually going to start with Ken Waldman. I met him in Albuquerque at the Folk Alliance some years back. We were all trying to get gigs there in libraries and museums, and paid, good money to be obscure and to try to make it work in that arena. And Ken is the hardest working poet I've ever met in my life. He's pounding the streets of the entire United States as we speak, but he lives in Breaux Bridge, Louisiana, and formerly from Alaska, where he survived a plane crash. I'm sure you'll hear about that. And he
No, not this time.
No, not this time. But he has got these new books now, which are very timely, called the Trump Sonnets. And hopefully we'll hear some of that. He's got a couple of musicians with him tonight, and Ken has got CDs and books, and he's got also a book about booking yourself called Are You Famous
Very good.
Yet?
Very good.
Okay, please welcome Ken Waldman.
I have a memory for things, so I remember that it was 1999 in Albuquerque, coming into like the lobby of whatever the hotel was, and there was you and there was Phil.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna leave briefly and invite up my friend Jerry Higgins, who lives in Austin. He's a banjo player, and soon after Beth Chrisman is going to come up, and I'll talk about them. But Jerry, why don't you start playing that tune, an appropriate tune for tonight? Tune called Texas is what he's going to start playing. And I'll get my fiddle and take it from there too. Why don't you start playing that, Jerry? And my niche is I combine old-time Appalachian Russian string band music with poetry in various ways. And right now, and Jerry actually gives banjo lessons around Austin. Anybody you know wants a banjo lesson, he can fit it in his schedule. And in a way, he's giving a banjo lesson right now. You watch, you learn visually, you're seeing something about the banjo. You learn by listening. There's so many bad banjo jokes. This is great music. But you learn by listening. A night like this, if you're poetically inclined, I got a poem called Green Banjo. Right hand scrunched tight into a claw, thumb out like you need a lift. Knock the far first wire with the right forefinger's nail, knock again. Brushing strings, mini stub of a thumb following the pick, short near high G. Then go bump titty, tick-tock, a tick-tock, an old pocket watch, going loco. Moving from your left ring finger, hammering on your blood like rye whiskey, bubbling in a still. You see yourself outside the front porch to twang, strung long neck drum. You one day frail, fast as fishtails, in wild drunk time, for cross-tuned and wrapped, old time Alaska fiddlers. So the poem with the fiddle, or with the banjo, and then I play the fiddle, and then Beth's gonna come out, and we're gonna have some fiddle, banjo, guitar, and it's how we make a living. Shows with that we've yet to record, but someday. Anybody go to the White Horse in the honky tonk in East Austin? I was there last night, and Beth was a side woman playing fiddle. Tomorrow, Friday night at 8 o'clock, she has a band. I guess it's Friday nights unless she has a better gig elsewhere. So Friday nights you can show up and was it Missy Beth in the morning afters? So Jerry and I are playing tomorrow night just as a little self-advertisement up at a place called Genuine Joe's Coffee House up on West Anderson. And then the last thing, and I'm going to get to business. Warren Wilson, Virginia, January 5th, I'm going to be up in West Asheville, not Asheville, but West Asheville at an activist bookstore with my Trump Sonnets, Volume 2. And January 7th, I'm up near DC, and January 9th, I'm in New York City. Enjoy this. At the very end, or at the end of this set, I should have my little clock out, but that's close enough. So I'll put my little clock Don't want to go too long in these settings. I developed a show from these two books. November 8th, I think, was the election, 2016. November 9th, I started writing the first sonnet. And I didn't know it was going to be, these are 140 sonnets in the past year and a little bit. This book was in my hands by the inauguration. This is out officially January 1st, so this is what is this? This is pre-publication debut party with it. And I'll read, I did a house concert in Portland, Oregon, and I was so among friends. Everybody was a musician, and I was clearly enjoying myself among friends reading these poems, and they say, so we're sitting here while you do your therapy, is what they were saying. So I'll read the first one I started writing, which was, I was in Bowling Green, Kentucky. I was doing a residency, and I was in my car that morning of Wednesday the 9th, I think it was. And the first thing I remember writing down, I was listening to some interview on National Public Radio, and I remember saying, "You make George W. seem a statesman, the opening trick." The first thing, and then some days later it turned into this, and I call it the first book and the second one too. Some of the poems are in italics, they're in his voice. The other ones are either commentary or in this book, they're all addressed to him. So to Donald Trump from Baltimore. You make George W. seem a statesman, your opening trick. What the hell is next? Enact bills to place your orange, oversexed visage on stamps and coins. Reimagine your university. Republican top dog, you now own it all. Your context and history, we've seen just how you've wrecked all you touch. Give it time. The American people is by far your biggest brand yet. Count me in to just see where it all goes. Sue the Senate, your cabinet, run up debt to Russia and China and Mexico, that wall. Soon appears some sweet young hussy you'll have to grab. That's you, Donald. Fussy. It's called The First 50 Days, and I've been joking in the last couple of weeks this could easily be called The Next 50 Days or Every 50 Days. So I'll just read a couple more. I was actually here, I think it was July 2nd with Jerry and Beth, and did a whole event as a kind of a book, well, it's for this book. And I was saying how I can just, like I say, just pick up any page. I didn't have this planned, but I'm gonna just read the ones on both these pages, and I'm going to go into the new book. There's a certain randomness with this. To Donald Trump from Grand Rapids. Here's one more irony, Donald. Our schools have made such efforts to halt bullying, yet there you are, proof that sneering, quarreling, name-calling bring rewards. We'd be such fools to ignore the lesson. Your daily schedule is loaded with venomous rants, meetings, lawsuits. Your education pick is for closing schools has never worked in the field. The rules are upside down. You say you love the poorly educated. I'll take that literally. That's you in the mirror. As for critical thinking, let's not now get political. No doubt you'll find funds to resegregate, promote Jesus, stop ostracizing hate. And here's one of them in his voice. Trump Orlando, Foreign Affairs. How come I'm not seen as hale and hearty? Aren't I universally admired? How come such venom about where I've come from? And Melania too. It's a sorry world that can't just see this as a party for America. The media is dumb. They don't want the real story. We'll bang the drum for America. No reason to worry. I'll bring our friendship to Taiwan, China, Mexico, Panama, Argentina, Scotland, England, all of Ireland too. Syria, Iraq, Iran, plus a few more Mideast nations. Of course there's Israel. I'll shake hands, tell fellow leaders how I feel. So like I say, those are all written this time, or finished by this time last year. I was on a roll. And I thought that would be the end of it. And I'll read, and I got cards over there. There's cards. You can take a card home if you want. The very first one, I'm getting to where I was like the poem I did with Jerry with the banjo, I haven't gotten to the point where I have these memorized. I never know I would be reciting poems. This one I'm a day or two away from reciting. It's called Trump by the Book. Challenges what a common thesaurus can do. Lame-brained, schizo, preposterous, bugged out, imbecilic, dense, ludicrous, one and only Trumpus dinosaurus. Shuddersome snake sneaking on golf courses. Ghoulish, disgusting, raunchy, ominous, unprincipled, untitled, unfilled, unscrupulous, ungracious, unmannerly. A chorus of canards, whoppers, deceits, harrowing, abnormality, gruesome dingling, wacko, weirdo, flake, kook, crank, malignant, scurrilous, grabby, baneful, repugnant. Redefines polluted, perverse, synthetic, unprofessional, bellicose, toxic. So it's, I like the Walt Whitman list making, so that's what I like doing. And then this one is fun to me. I was thinking of how I could, after the first one, which had the poems that were addressed to him and the ones that were in his voice, and I felt like I could do more with it. And the second one, it's the same, but they're commentaries, and so I have like my Mitch McConnell poem, my Jeff Sessions poem, but I also have the ones that are in his voice are dream poems. And I'll get to the end. This one is, I've read it a few times, and I guess it's been popular that it's lighter, and I mean, I don't know what's funny, but this seems to be one of the dream poems. Donald Trump, dream number 32. A big stage, me with Batman, Superman, Popeye, and a trim Miss America. That was Candy from South Carolina. Batman called me a real American, said I was more potent than Superman. Candy called me Mr. America, said I should move to South Carolina. I owned every last thing, not just the land, but the sea, the sky, the moon, everything in between, even what people were thinking. I told Popeye to get to work. Popeye flexed his muscles. He was a big, strong guy. The audience was watching me. I waved to their applause. Superman called me brave. Thank you. These are some of these I've read. This is one I've yet to read in public, and I may never read again in public. But I'll read this one. And the thing about when I do, I have a lot of poems about music. I have a poem about playing fiddle, string band stuff, and it works. That's my niche. If I do political stuff when it's not set up to be political, that is not my niche. It's a momentum buster in every which way. And I don't think of Donald Trump as a music person, but I have one music dream poem. So this is Donald Trump, dream number 13. And I was tempted to start with this one, especially if I had Beth playing fiddle. She is a great bluegrass fiddle player. A bluegrass, just as Donald Trump, dream number 13. A bluegrass band was playing a racket like I'd never heard. Spare me the banjo. I prefer bagpipes or a piccolo or a bugle. That fiddler, a ticket to madness. Couldn't someone just crack at that piece of wood in 50 pieces? Oh God, all I had was a ripe tomato, which was in a pocket in my jacket. So I aimed at the band with all my might. My right arm wasn't what it used to be. The tomato splattered before the stage. Another pocket, somehow a white rock. I took it out. Felt good to me. Good weight, heft. I threw again. That's courage. That's Donald Trump in music. I'm just going to do a couple more. There's a little of him goes such a long way. But I'm trying to figure how to do these where the one in New York is a $35 ticket in a stage, and I'm doing one in DC that's ticketed, and the one in Asheville I kind of like, as I'm going north, they're more expensive. Asheville is by donation. But I'll read actually one of the experiments. If somebody wants to call a number between 1 and 33.
18.
48. Of course. So 18, I'll do dream number 18, and I may do one last poem after that, but dream number 18 from this book. Green sky, green faces, everywhere such green. Green, it's my second favorite color. Favorite of my mother and father and their dearest friends. You know who I mean. CEOs, millionaires, princesses, queens, everything green, including my mother, her hair, lipstick, teeth. Even the butler was green, the most brilliant I'd ever seen. Then I saw the green funnel in the sky. I watched as that wind took everything in and came toward me. Green wind. I wondered what now, or why now? Was it my time? The craziest wind. Then it turned left, away from the high ground where I stood. The windstorm turned everything brown. I'll just play a fiddle tune is what I'll do. But thank you. You got 3 more great readers and artists coming up. But I'll play a fiddle tune just to show that I can. This is one that I play usually since Donald Trump is the upside down man. This is one I usually play when I get started. We played Texas Night. I play one called Old Joe Clark, and this just always makes me feel at home, which is, Allison said I'm in Bro Bridge, which is true, but I'm still officially an Alaska resident, so this always makes me back up to Fairbanks, Alaska. If you know Fairbanks off Farmers Loop Road, I used to live in a cabin. I started playing in my mid-20s, and I was in an MFA program, and I would play fiddle, and I'd play this tune. Thank you.